guys, we are back for another Dokkan battle video. Today we're going to take a look at this free-to-play character right here. I think that this free-to-play cooler is actually pretty solid. They gave this guy some tools to be, I think, very effective across a lot of the content of the game. I think they did a really good job, right? So number one, he does stack defense, which is very big. He also greatly lowers attack, too. Another very effective tool for something like Super Battle Road stages. Now, unfortunately, he does not have big bad bosses, which is probably one of the big things holding him back. But he does still have some very strong links, meaningful strong links anyway. Let's go ahead and give this guy a sticker. I have built up such a huge array of stickers that I'll probably just sticker every single character that can get one that comes out from this point on. So, alright, we'll go ahead and give this sticker to Tech Cooler. Let's go ahead and check him out. But again, between the fact that he's a defensive stacking support unit that greatly lowers attack, good for Super Battle Road, he's got a lot of effectiveness. I could see this guy being good in a lot of different content stages. I think they did a really good job with him, actually. Alright, here we are on a little rotation here. So this Tech Cooler, one of the big things he's doing, right? Besides the fact that he, of course, is stacking defense, he does lower attack. He is a support-type unit for Terrifying Conquerors. He gives Terrifying Conqueror category allies 3-key 30% attack and defense. I do really feel like support units like this are very valuable, so they've created a character that potentially can build up a reasonable amount of defense, right? As well as giving the support to the entire rotation. Right, the thing about units like LR Metal Cooler and LR Final Form Cooler is that, you know, they're up there as some of the best units in the game. A little bit of extra attack, a little bit of extra defense really goes a long way, and it's from a free-to-play unit that is not going to quickly die, under pressure a lot of the times, right? So this free-to-play cooler, he does build up defense. He gets 20% defense with each super attack performed up to a maximum of 50%, right? So he is going to be building up a lot of extra defense as he's doing these supers, which can be very, very big for him. His link set is Strongest Clan in Space, Thirst for Conquest, Cold Judgment, Brutal Beatdown, Metamorphosis, Nightmare, and Shattering the Limit. So, it is unfortunate he doesn't have big bad bosses. I would say that's kind of like a really, really big unfortunate aspect for him. So we're at 100k defense. What happens if we don't get Metamorphosis? 98k. That certainly is low. I mean, keep in mind that we are on a 200% leader skill. Cooler has... does he have 3 200% leader skills? Let's see. So let's take a look at his categories here. He is on, of course, LR Final Form Coolers 200%. Movie bosses, Terrifying Conqueror, and then Transformation Boost, giving him the 200%. He, of course, is on LR Metal Coolers 200% to Wicked Bloodline. And he's also on Captain Ginyu's Terrifying Conqueror team and the extra 30% to Space Traveling Warriors, right? So that's pretty good. Of note, too, Garesh pointed this out to me, how dumb it is that Metal Cooler is not on Space Traveling Warriors. Neither Metal Cooler or Golden Frieza is on Space Traveling Warriors. Very, very bizarre. Alright, so let's go and see what damage we're able to get with Cooler here. Again, remember, defensively, he does build up. We'll have to go into one of these events and sort of stack up for a little bit and see Cooler really build up that defense of his, right? Because he's building in two different ways. He's just stacking defense from a super attack effect, and then he gets the 20% defense per super attack performed up to the max of 50%. So, again, we will see him build up his defense in a variety of different ways. And of course, if you're building this guy in the potential system, you absolutely want to go full additionals for this cooler right here. This turn, right, by the way, was with no support, which is good. I think it's good to have a turn or two of no support in these showcases as well, right? All right, let's have Final Form Cooler go ahead and juice up this Vegeta. We'll get another turn from our boy Tech Cooler, and then maybe we'll go... Let's just go to a fight where we could sort of build up that defense of Coolers, right, without it having to, sort of wear out or anything like that. Because, again, he'll have to do 3 super attacks at minimum to build up his full defense. Cooler does also have one extra effect, which I don't really think matters too much. So he gives Terrifying Conqueror category allies a 7% chance to crit for 3 turns after he gets hit 5 or more times in battle. I mean, it's fine, I guess, because he already has the normal support. I don't go super crazy for, like, some of these units that are giving just a little bit of crit chance to allies. I mean, it's nice, but it's not, like, oh my god, a game changer type stuff, right? Okay, so Cooler jumped up to 200k, right? So we can see how his defense is going up a lot. Garlic Jr., of course, is a fairly powerful support type unit, but between Cooler stacking basically from his passive and also from his super attack effect, we are going to see Tech Cooler really build that defense up too. Now, the only thing is there, like, I really wish he didn't have Cold Judgment, because there's not really currently, like, a great character that could activate Cold Judgment for him, right? Like, if you look at all of, like, the potential villain characters that might have it, you're not really going to find one. I guess we know that the Cooler's Armored Squadron is going to be getting an EZA, so perhaps they might be good for it. And also, Int Chilai, who is on Space Traveling Warriors with this Cooler, does have it as well. Chilai, of course, is a ridiculously busted character. So if we got some sort of 200% leader with 170% to Space Traveling Warriors, that could then be very interesting for this Cooler to get Cold Judgment activated. Right, because remember, Cold Judgment just gives so much extra stats. And yeah, it's just like, there's not really a character that's, like, relevant at all right now, right, on these teams for Cooler that can activate that. So that's a bit unfortunate. Alright guys, so here's turn 1 with our boy Cooler. What I'll probably do here, we'll show turn 1, we'll show turn 2, and then I'll skip ahead a little bit and we'll see what Cooler looks like after we've had, you know, a good 9 turns or something like that to build up. So here we are, 126k. Remember, one of the biggest links, well, we have 2 really big ones we want to hit. Thirst for Conquest is that first one at the top, and then Metamorphosis, the bottom left one right there. Those are very, very important, right? Especially Metamorphosis, because remember, Metamorphosis is 5% HP regen as well, right? You start combining that with, you know, maybe having, like, some of the Metal Coolers on the team, and, you know, you begin to really cook, right? Again, Wicked Bloodline is a very powerful team these days, right? With all these huge additions. And as far as a free-to-play unit goes, again, I really like what they did with this Cooler. This is how you build a free-to-play unit right now. This Cooler isn't really worried about doing damage. Like, he can do a little bit of damage, but he's stacking, attack debuffing, supporting. Beautiful, beautiful. It's exactly what some of these teams needed. It's a character like that, right? We absolutely do not need some juggernaut, right, just, like, blowing their assholes inside out, you know, as a free-to-play unit. We need the support, right? Make LR Final Form Cooler, LR Metal Cooler, just that much better. I think that's, again, very, very, very important. Okay, so I did bring King Cold as well. King Cold can support Wicked Bloodline and, you know, have a few links activated with Cooler as well. So let's just go ahead and get to this next turn. Again, we can see how Cooler's built up a little bit. Plus, we'll have 2 supports, right? We'll have Turles, as well as Garlic Jr., both, you know, very powerful support type units for these characters. Right, Turles definitely, I think, a little bit more effective on these Cooler teams than he previously has been, right? I mean, you know, power creep is continuing on strong, but I think Turles can make for a decent support type unit. The only thing with Turles, I would say now, is it is a real shame that all of the most difficult fights in the game are against villains, right? And Turles gives defensive support only against hero units, right? So that's kind of an unfortunate aspect. Turles, I think, will be quite a bit better when we're able to utilize his defensive support abilities, right? Okay, so we'll have a lot of links activated right here. We got Thirst for Conquest, Brutal Beatdown, Metamorphosis, and Nightmare all active. We're at 200k defense right there. Okay, cool. All right, let's see what damage we get from Cooler on this turn. After this, I'm just going to skip ahead a couple of turns, right? Like, once Cooler has, you know, sort of... Remember, we have to do 3 supers to build up his passive, and then he'll just continually stack 30% from that defensive stacking ability, right? Defensive stacking, it is kind of a lazy way to make characters good, but, like, it works. It works for a reason, right? So, you know, especially some of these red zone fights, you know, you'll go 10 plus turns, right? So it's like, it may be lazy, but it's effective, right? Especially on free-to-play characters, to help give them just a little bit of bite, just make them a little bit more effective. I do really like the idea of giving them defensive stacking. So, all right, let's see how far he gets along in a couple of turns here. I just wanted to do this turn real quick, because this is Cooler now fully built up, right? We did the 3 super attacks we have to do. So he's up to 400k. You can see he really gets a lot of defense from that super attack performed. That really shoots it up quite fast. So it's like, he's done 3 super attacks. Is that 400k? 400k, so you could use this free-to-play cooler in the Red Zone Broly fight in particular, right? It's like, if you can kind of just keep him out of harm's way from Broly's AoE, you'll get to the AGL phase, and this guy will be able to tank. I've done it. I've used this guy against Red Zone Broly, and he's tanked AGL Red Zone Broly, who's doing, 1.2 million damage on a super, and this cooler's taken 200k damage as a free-to-play support type unit, right? So that's why, like, I'm always saying exactly like this is how they should make free-to-play support character. Like, this guy's good. I actually couldn't. The only thing I would say really is maybe give him more defense or change that crit ability. Maybe just give him an extra 10% attack and defense to Terrifying Conquerors rather than that crit ability. But, like, for the most part, like, I like what they did with this guy. I think he's very good. This is a very solid support unit that will be able to get, I think, a lot of value, right? Like, when you're fighting these really tough red zone stages, remember, you don't want to just bring the same setup into, like, every single fight. You're trying to, like, match typings. Okay, this is, the Metal Cooler fight. Metal Cooler is an AGL. He's a monster, so I'll bring tech units, right? We're going to go fight Red Zone Broly. He's AGL, so we're bringing our tech units. We're going to go fight Red Zone Bojack, who's tech at the end, so we want to bring our strong int units, right? Remember, that's the way you want to team build for these very difficult red zone stages, not just bringing every single character type neutral. That's not the way to go in the most difficult red zone stages, for sure. Alright guys, here's another good rotation right here. We got King Cold who's supporting, we got Garlic Jr. who's supporting. We have every link activated for Cooler except for Cold Judgment, which again is kind of hard to get on these teams that Cooler's on. So we're at nearly, so he'll be over 500k with one super attack. I mean, as you guys can see, this Cooler, he could just continue stacking and stacking and stacking. He's pretty good. I think that's enough for kind of the rim job Cooler got during this video, but I think he's pretty good. This is how they should build free-to-play characters. This exactly, I think, is them completely nailing what to do when they're making these free-to-play characters, right? The other two maybe aren't quite as good, but I do really like this tech Cooler. I think this guy is really, really helpful and really usable in a lot of difficult content. Alright, this is Restoring Our Clan's Reputation Cooler. His leader skill is Terrifying Conquer, category key 3 and 77% of stats, or tech type key 3 and 50% of stats. His super attack is the Death Flash, which stacks defense, does supreme damage to the enemy, and then greatly lowers enemy attack. His passive skill, Glorious Clan, gives him 150% attack and 100% defense at the start of turn. Then he gets an additional 20% defense with each super attack performed, up to a maximum of 50%. Then he gives Terrifying Conqueror, category allies 3 key and 30% attack and defense. And then he gives Terrifying Conqueror, category allies a 7% chance to crit for 3 turns after Cooler takes 5 hits in battle, once only. So after Cooler takes his 5th hit, for the next 3 turns, all Terrifying Conqueror category allies get an extra 7% chance to crit for those 3 turns. Not the biggest fan of that last ability. I would trade that for an extra 10% attack and defense to his support, honestly. His links are Strongest Clan in Space, Thirst for Conquest, Cold Judgment, Brutal Beatdown, Nightmare, Metamorphosis, and Shattering Limit. Well, actually, just going back to that passive point, because if you're running this guy as like a floater against, say, Red Zone Broly, which I've done, it's absolutely reasonable that you'll be now getting to AGL Broly and this Cooler will not have been attacked 5 times, right? Like, especially with the firepower of Final Form Cooler, Metal Cooler, LR Gold, and Frieza, right? You'll be tearing these bosses in half. So, like, it's not even going to be super, I feel like, consistent where you'd be getting this guy's, like, ability anyway. Now, once you get to Red Zone Broly, sure, he's probably going to take a lot of hits. Broly hits so much at the end of that EGL form, right? And, you might be relying on this guy a bit more defensively, but you get what I'm saying. Right, an extra 10% attack and defense to his support, I think, would impact a variety of fights more than that crit ability of his. 12 key multiplier is 140%. And then finally, our boy is on a number of category teams here. So he, of course, is on the Terrifying Conqueror category team. Then Cooler's also on the Movie Bosses category team as well. Then over here, he is on the Transformation Boost team. This is one of the next big 170% leader skills I'm waiting for, is this one for sure. Then he is also over here on Wicked Bloodline. Then right here, he is also on the Target Goku category team. Then right here, he's on Space Traveling Warriors. I really want Space Traveling Warriors to get a 170 now. That would be crazy. We've gotten some really powerful options recently. Only STR Bojack is leading this team. Obviously, STR Bojack has faded way off, right? He's a 2-year-old release, but I mean, damn, Space Traveling Warriors would be a nasty 170 at this point. And then finally, he is on the Planetary Destruction category team. So there we go. There is this EZA free-to-play cooler. I think he's quite good.